Hello, and thanks for joining us. My name is Stephen Perlin. I am here today at UHS Binghamton General Hospital because it is National Nutrition Month. And yes, I know we are at the end of March, but you know what's great about nutrition? It's good all year round. We just celebrate a little bit more in March. So even though we're at the end, we all know that nutrition is important year round, like I just said, and it helps us obviously live a better life, a healthier life, and potentially a longer life. And one of the more important things it does, being nutritious and healthy, is help us battle against cancer, the spread of cancer, or just getting cancer in general. So it's always important to be mindful of your diet. That's where my favorite registered dietitian, Janelle Oakley, comes in. She's here to give you some great tips today because she's knowledgeable and I'm not. So thanks for joining us today, Janelle.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Obviously, National Nutrition Month means a lot to me as a dietitian. And we are at the end of the month, but I want to kick it out with some good tips that'll help everyone.
Great way to end.
Absolutely. Throughout the year, I've been talking about different nutritional aspects that can help prevent against cancer. And you can reach those tips by going on nyuhs.org and going to the nutrition site and looking at my videos on the side. But two topics that I haven't covered that I think are really important in today's society is sugar intake and supplements. And I think a lot of people will be really interested in all of this because it's a hot topic nowadays.
Oh, sugar intake I think is always a hot topic, especially you have kids. I mean, as you're getting older, you obviously got to limit that. And then especially when it comes to other diseases, but obviously with cancer too. So let's get into it.
Right.
Talk to me. Tell me about some of these tips so we can make our community a healthier place.
Perfect. So one of the most common topics when we talk about cancer is sugar intake. Everyone says sugar feeds cancer. And while that is correct, it's not that specific. Sugar feeds every cell in the body, not just cancer. So we do need sugar to live, and we don't want to cut it out completely, but we want to be mindful of what's called added sugars. Added sugars, just as it sounds, are sugars that are added to our foods. When you're looking at the nutrition facts label, it gets a little confusing because it says total sugars, but then it also has an added sugar section right below it. That's the part that we want to look at to know how much sugar is added to our food, because some foods have sugar naturally, especially things like fruits or grains. They have sugar in it naturally, but we don't want to be adding more to that because that can increase our weight circumference, and we don't want to be putting on the weight and increasing our cancer risk that way.
So sugar in general, okay.
Yes.
Adding sugar, not so much. That's where we get a little iffy on it.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, sugar is the #1 most added ingredient to food by weight in the United States, which is probably not a surprise.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish I was surprised with it.
Right. Looking at a bunch of different drinks we have here, I tried to make it like common drinks that people have nowadays. I feel like a lot of people typically will put like energy drinks on this list, and while those are still popular, I think more so zero sugar or very low sugar energy drinks are making their debut, and while they're problematic for other issues, the sugar isn't really a concern. But things like our coffee drinks. I see a lot of people, a lot of nurses when I'm working will have coffee drinks. So one that I've seen very commonly is just like a typical Dunkin' iced caramel coffee. This has 37 grams of added sugar to it. It's kind of hard to see the line here, but that's quite a bit of just white sugar.
And that's before people put in the added, the sugar on top of that or whatever they might add, sweetener and whatnot.
Absolutely. Oh, I know many people will add like the liquid cane sugar on top of all that. So that's just the bare minimum. That's wild. Or a normal 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew has 67 grams. That's quite a bit. The recommendation for added sugar per person per day is 50 grams, and this is for the entire day. So if you drink one bottle of Mountain Dew, you're already over that limit.
You're done for the day. You're done. That's not good.
It's wild how easy you can
shouldn't
get
be
it.
drinking Mountain Dew in the morning, though, for the record.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
That.
But this also includes other types of sugars. I know a lot of people will say white sugar is bad. We don't want to add that, and then they'll replace it with maple syrup or honey. This is still added sugar. This is sugar you're adding to whatever it is. Your body metabolizes all sugar in the same exact way. So whether it's white sugar, honey, maple syrup, this brown sugar, anything, it's all the same. So while you might get a little bit more vitamins and minerals changing white sugar to honey, it's going to be the same exact metabolism in your body. It doesn't make a difference.
Interesting. Well, and I mean, obviously, I think some people do it over the flavor, but it's not worth that extra flavor. I mean, if you're going to drink something, you're just going to have to learn to deal with it without that, pretty much.
Sure. Or what you could do, and what I recommend to people a lot, especially my diabetic patients, but this can go for any patient or any person. I do this personally. I use 0-calorie sweetener, and it doesn't matter what kind you use. All of them have different tastes, different sweetness profiles, so it's all a preference. But this doesn't get metabolized in the body. It kind of just processes through, but it still has that same sweet taste, and it has 0 calories, so it doesn't help to increase your weight and your calorie intake, but you still get that sweet taste, so it helps to curb how much added sugar you need in your foods.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd be very helpful, because you don't need to add more if you have this, and then you're also doing yourself and your body a little bit of a favor as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really like using all this stuff. I don't add sugar to my foods. I use this, and I know it's still adding sugar, but it helps to replace those calories, and I'm not getting even close to the 50 grams per day that is recommended.
Which is good, because you want to spread that out, obviously, across the day, not all at once.
Absolutely. However, with added sugar, I know there is a misconception about it, especially with aspartame, that it causes cancer. I hear this all the time, and I'm going to tell you flat out right now, that is false. That is...
We're breaking the myth here.
We're breaking the myth. That is not true. It is based off of false research and false marketing. Aspartame does not cause cancer. There's not enough evidence to prove any of that. It has been studied for dozens of years. It is a fairly new product, so I can't say hundreds of years, but dozens of years, and it's still being researched, and nothing has been proven to cause cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has a list of thousands of substances known to mankind, and the conclusive research and how risky it is to cause cancer. Aspartame is rated a category group 2B, which is just above the last one, meaning that there isn't enough evidence to support anything, but they are studying it. The group 3 means it hasn't been studied, it's not worth studying. So category group 2B, not enough evidence to prove anything.
But they're keeping an eye on it just in case.
They're keeping an eye on it. But do you know what actually has been proven to cause cancer more so than aspartame?
I have no clue.
Drinking tap water.
Oh.
Also, drinking hot beverages, so drinking a cup of coffee a day increases your cancer risk more than consuming aspartame.
Wow.
Also, consuming 1 serving of red meat, pork, beef per day. Significantly higher cancer risk than consuming aspartame.
Which our audience already knows, because we talked about it. I'm
Absolutely.
sure they're like, oh, we know that already, Janelle, we covered that.
Absolutely. If not, you're going to have to review the video.
Yes, exactly, at nyuhs.org.
But aspartame, it's a great resource for people, especially my diabetic patients who struggle with blood sugar management, but this is useful for everyone. It does not increase your cancer risk. And I say this for everything, the dose makes the poison. So everything that you have can potentially have a risk. Some things are necessary. So like lead, not really good for you. Your body actually does need a very trivial amount of it to function.
Oh.
So the dose makes the poison. You have too much, it'll cause issues, but you still need a little bit. So it's all about the size.
Yeah.
So the recommended amount, the acceptable dietary intake for aspartame is about 50 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Take an average 75-pound person, that's 79.5 kilograms. I did the math for you, so you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I was calculating real quick.
So 50 milligrams per kilogram, that would be just under 4,000 milligrams of aspartame per day is the recommended amount. At the amount of aspartame in a typical can of soda is about 200 milligrams, and per packet, it's about 35. So to get to that limit, to not even exceed that limit, to get to it, a person of that weight would have to consume 20 cans of soda or 114 packets of that sugar per day.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
I really hope nobody's doing that.
The soda, maybe we
Yeah.
get close to it, but I don't know anyone that gets to that limit. So this is not even a concern. People are not even reaching the recommended amount per day.
Which is good.
So it's not a concern for people. So I don't want anyone out there to be afraid of artificial sweeteners. If you're avoiding it for taste, that's one thing, but it is not going to cause cancer. That is a myth that we have debunked, so don't be afraid of it.
You heard it here.
So the second topic I wanted to cover was supplements. That is a hot topic today. So many people are taking various supplements, and it's constantly being researched, and people are just taking handfuls of them per day. This is very problematic because supplements, by their definition, are not monitored by the FDA. They are not regulated, so technically any supplement you buy in the grocery store can have anything in it. They don't have to disclose it. So if you're going to the grocery store and you're buying multivitamins, it might not be a multivitamin. It could just be a sugar pill. It could be something else. You don't know. Legally, they are not required to disclose any of that. So that can be very dangerous. Not to mention, things can interact with medications, and a lot of supplements, especially herbs, can cause a lot of other health conditions. So I have a list here. What's an example? So aloe vera. I know a lot of people have been drinking aloe vera drinks.
Oh, I thought that was used for like burns and stuff like that.
It can be topically. That's an okay thing. People drink it a lot. That can cause raging diarrhea, and it can cause GI distress and a lot of issues there. Or licorice root. People will take licorice root supplements or even just black licorice candy. That causes severe hypertension. So high blood pressure puts you at risk of heart attacks.
Wow.
Don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, no.
Or turmeric. That's a very popular one. Little amounts in foods you're eating is probably fine, but if you're taking a turmeric pill, you're at an extreme risk of bleeding, ulcers, iron deficiency, which can cause even further issues.
Yeah, we gotta be very careful about what we're putting in our body, clearly.
Yes, absolutely. Ginkgo biloba, that one's not a very common one, but that causes blood thinning, or comfrey actually kills off your liver. So these things you have to be very careful about. They're not monitored, so even if you think you're buying licorice root, it might not be. It could be something even worse.
Now, what do you recommend then in this scenario? Is it just a matter of reading the ingredients, or is just being more careful and consulting with a doctor or something like that?
Absolutely consult with your doctor first to make sure what you're thinking first doesn't interact with any medications you're taking or interacts with any health conditions you have. So talk to your doctor is the first step. The second step is to do your research. Do a little bit of Google searching. Look for actual verified sites, so things that are .org, .net, .gov, those things are actually funded with research, so you want to be looking at that type of research. And see what it says, see if that's something good for you. If you still are thinking of taking it, what I recommend is a third-party tested supplement. So what that means is that the company that makes that specific supplement is so confident that what they put in that supplement is true and accurate that they are paying another company to verify it. And they're paying millions of dollars to do it. So that's a really good sign that what you are getting is the real thing.
Oh, that's good to know.
And it'll usually say it right on the bottle, the third-party tested whatever company it is. There are a few brands that will advertise that on commercials and whatnot, so always try to go for those products over others.
Oh, that's good information. All right, well, we're learning a lot. Thank you, as always, Janelle. Do you want to give us a quick summary about this? Just touch on the sugars again, just so everybody's got a clear summary of everything?
Sure. So added sugar intake, we want to try to limit that as much as possible. 50 grams per day per person is the recommendation. You are absolutely welcome to do sweetener alternatives. Not going to increase your cancer risk at all. Use them as you like. And be very careful with your supplement intake, whether that's your pills, your protein powders, pre-workouts, all of that is under the same category. Do your research, talk to your doctor, make sure you're looking at the bottles carefully.
Always important to do your research, and obviously to consult with a provider or doctor to make sure they're medically trained, they know best, and they'll do their best for you.
Absolutely.
Well, as always, Janelle, thank you very much. A lot of great information. I know I learned a lot, that's for sure, and I'm sure our audience did as well. As always, if you are looking for more information, you can head to nyuhs.org. We always have more for you there. Janelle, once again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us out there.